All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Isaac Basten, a recent hire to do the Blue Oval podcast and some interviews here with Stroud Report. And today I'm here with Maddy Elmore, Oregon redshirt sophomore and 1500 All American from last year. Maddy, thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm excited.
Awesome. Yeah. So I guess kind of just like a good baseline question that we kind of ask everyone is what was your welcome to the NCAA moment?
Yeah, I feel like that's kind of a loaded question because I was like in the NCAA for 2 years before I actually like even competed. Um, but I think probably NCAA cross country my like the first year that I raced, so not last year, but the year before, because yeah, I was in Stillwater, so like the weather also was just a huge element. I feel like we were like rubbing baby oil on ourselves before, and I think like getting on the start line, and I'd never been in a race that big, and like I was just like, what is going on? I was so nervous. So I think that was probably the moment, especially and the first K. Like I don't really like to start out very fast, and everyone was like sprinting, and I was like literally probably in last, and I was like, what is going on? So I think yeah, that was probably the one moment.
Yeah, I think we've all been there being in
Yeah.
last early in a cross country race.
Yeah.
um
Especially
so
with
kind of
Parker Valby pacing, it was yeah.
yeah, she tends to lead it out a little bit hot, eh?
Yeah.
so kind of just taking it back a little bit. You obviously decided to redshirt as a freshman. Talk through what redshirting is like mentally. Like, did you enjoy being able to train and kind of just learn the ropes at Oregon for a while, or was like patience and not really towing the line kind of something that was difficult for you?
Yeah, it was really difficult. My freshman year was like the first year that COVID was really bad. Like the end of my senior year is when COVID started of high school. So like I came to Oregon and we like there were so many rules and we didn't even have cross country that fall. So that was kind of weird. And we just were kind of just training, doing time trials and stuff. And then I got injured like immediately that fall. I got a stress fracture and so then I was like out for a while, and then that whole year I was kind of dealing with the same injury. So that was pretty frustrating. And then like I got COVID, so then they sent us off to a hotel. So then we're in the hotel for like 10 days, and it was just very like it did not feel like college or like I thinking about racing wasn't really like on my mind, but then that was also when Cooper and Cole were there, so like the men won indoors. It was just really weird because the girls weren't doing very well, but then they were like winning, the men were winning, and yeah, so I think my freshman year was just really weird. And like yeah, it was hard for me to even think about like what was going on at the time, I think.
So it was like your freshman year kind of just doing a ton of rehab stuff and like
Yeah.
just trying to really focus on getting yourself healthy in the first place.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. That I mean, that almost might be, I mean, it definitely isn't a good thing, but it might be like a
Yeah.
blessing in disguise mentally because you're just so focused on getting yourself better that you're not really even focusing on like the lack of racing or the lack of like
Yeah.
experiencing what other people are
Yeah.
experiencing.
Yeah, I think yeah, and like I was with a big group of freshmen who were all kind of struggling, so we were all struggling together. I think there were like six of us and only one of them was even racing, so it was kind of just like
Jeez.
and then yeah, it's kind of funny now because out of all the six of those girls, I'm the only one left. So
Jeez.
yeah, I saw a picture the other day of like all of us standing there and I was like that's pretty sad. Yeah.
well, so moving on from this depressing freshman year, really.
Yeah.
as a sophomore, as a sophomore, and this is kind of like what you talked about as your coming out moment. Like you
Yeah.
immediately became an NCAA caliber runner. You came here. There wasn't like a huge buildup. You qualified for the NCAA championships in cross country, albeit you guys qualified as a team as well. But you qualified right away and you placed 72nd in your first year. So my question about this is just, what was it like going into your first 6K NCAA cross country championship? I mean, because when I look at your TFers, your best events are definitely the 1500 and the
Yeah.
3K. So, like, was this a bit overwhelming for you, or like, how does the preparation change for a 6K versus a 3K or a 1500?
Yeah, well, actually my actual sophomore year, like there was a whole nother year in between that and when I started actually racing. So
Oh, wow.
yeah. So yeah, which I think everyone gets like confused by because I'm like a redshirt sophomore, but like yeah, so I had 2 years at Oregon before that first year. Um
Okay.
so then there was a whole nother year of like depressive injuries and stuff like that. And then Shalane and Jerry got hired like right before that season that you're talking about. Um, so yeah, like right before Shalane came, I basically was about to medically retire. Like they thought I
Wow.
had, yeah, they thought I had compartment syndrome. So like I had a test like the compartment syndrome test in September and Shalane got there in August and like I was gonna do it if I like still couldn't run and then like literally the moment Shalane got there I like started running without pain and it was like super weird and then ever since then so yeah I think like I tell Shalane a lot that she like saved my life but like she actually did and it was like super weird timing but
That's
so yeah
great.
that had happened like before that one cross country season so yeah, that cross country season, I was just like, "Oh my god, I can run," was like the first thing. And then I kept like yeah, I was like ended up being like our number 2 runner on the team. So yeah, when I showed up to cross nationals, I was like, "What am I doing here?" Like yeah, it was pretty crazy cuz like just 2 months before that, I was like kind of thinking about like what I was going to do since I'm not going to be able to run or like if I could even like run as a hobby. So yeah, it was a lot. I was just happy to be running, honestly. So I think the competitive part was kind of hard for me at that point because like there's like a picture of me running in Oklahoma and I'm like smiling because I was just like so happy to be there. But then I'm also like, wait, I need to be competitive. Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
There's got to just be so much gratefulness just to even be able to race again,
yeah,
especially when you're going like 2 years in a row, just being injured and the
yeah,
frustrations involving all that stuff. Gosh, it's crazy that in your first, you got 72nd, just like your first year back really from injury.
yeah,
That's nuts. Moving on into that indoor season, which was 2023, that must have been another pretty frustrating season for you. Because when I'm looking at your results, you raced 3 hard miles, and in 2 of those 3 miles, you were less than 2 seconds
yeah.
off of an NCAA qualifier. So, I mean, talk about what it's like coming up just barely short like that, and maybe could you even watch the NCAA championships? Were you too frustrated, or like how did that and then how did your training change after that too? Because that must have been a huge motivational thing for you going into this year.
Yeah, yeah. I went to the NCAA championships because I was the alternate for our DMR. So yeah, that was pretty tough to go there as an alternate when I was like, I wish that I could be racing that mile. And yeah, I because I ran 4:35 in Arkansas like 2 weeks before, and then there was a last chance meet at UW. So I was like, okay, I need like if I just ran 4:35, I can run 4:33. And then there was this whole thing where they didn't have my like new seed time from my PR since it was so recent, so they put me in like the second heat and then there were girls who were slower than me in the first heat. So we were trying I was like super mad and it was this whole thing. So then I was in the second heat and like yeah, I don't think it would have changed anything cuz I didn't even win the second heat. I got second, but I ran 4:35 again and I was just like I just crossed the line and I was just like no. And just like looking at the descending order list, but like I was too far back for scratches. So yeah, that was tough. But I think at that point too, that was like my first track season in so long. So it was just like, okay, maybe I'll run the DMR, maybe I won't, but it was a good experience to watch indoors for sure.
The mile is just, I feel like it's the most hectic event as well, because when
Yeah.
I looked at the Tifers to see how close you were that season, and like you were I don't know, somewhere in like the 90s or something, but there were like, I swear, from you to like 40 and for you to like 25 is like a second and a half or
Yeah.
2 seconds. And then when you go from like there to the very top, it's only another like 3 or 4 seconds. And
Yeah.
it's like, holy crap, everyone's so similar.
Yeah.
And which is so different because you see events like the 3K and the 5K, and there's sometimes like 25-second
Yeah.
gaps
Yeah,
randomly
exactly.
in the field. So the mile is always hectic. But
Yeah.
moving on to that outdoor season, where I think this is kind of where you really reap the benefits of like finally showing that you're an elite runner in the NCAA, finally having that huge breakout and getting to show people that, hey, I'm an NCAA championship caliber athlete and
Yeah.
not just someone that's just coming up short of qualifying. And so, kind of just a first question right off the bat is like, what do you credit that breakout during outdoor season to? Did anything like change in your training? Did anything change for you mentally, or was it just kind of like a consistency thing, really?
Yeah, I think a lot of it was consistency because, yeah, last year I was like pretty scared to get injured again just because of everything. So I was only running like 5 days a week. Um, and still throughout outdoor, I was only running that much. But I think just the consistency because, like, during indoor, I felt like I was aerobically super fit, but then like my legs just could not. Like Izzy and Claudia, our other 1500-meter runners, like in speed stuff, they were like working me. Like I was like I would just get like dusted at the end. So I was just like, Shalane, I have no speed. Like, what is happening? But I think it just took like a while for my legs to like get that muscle memory back. And then yeah, just like training with those two, and just building momentum throughout the season. Definitely, yeah, I think was the main thing.
I was going to actually ask this question later, but now that you're talking about it, I'm going to ask it right now. What is it like training with all Americans like Claudia and like Izzy, like on a daily basis? And like, do you guys like push each other all the time? Is it like, do you have to like manage the end of workouts? Cause do you ever like find yourself racing, or is it just like an all positive, like, hey, like we're all going to make top three and we're all going to podium? Like, yeah, what is it like, honestly?
Yeah, it's interesting because we all have like very different strengths. Like I'm more like the strength aerobic base and they're more speed. So like yeah, on any different workout, like one of us will be doing more. And then now, yeah, now we have Mia Barnett, which is like a huge another person to add. So then I think, yeah, we're all it's definitely when I first like started running again with the team, like there were definitely times where Shalane was like, "Guys, why are you racing?" Like we got yelled at a few times, but I think it's controlled a little bit more now. But then all the freshmen come in and then they try to do that too, and we're like, "Guys, like this is
Yeah.
not."
The freshmen always have to prove
Yeah.
themselves right away. Yep. Oh, that's good. So when this outdoor breakout happened, did you see this coming? Like when because you ran 4:13 at Peyton Jordan,
Mhm.
which ranked you 14 into the West going into the regional championships. What was like the goal heading into regionals? Did you know that like realistically a national berth could and probably would happen, or were you kind of like, oh, I'm just gonna go there and have fun and see what I can do, or like what was the
Yeah,
mindset like?
I think like Shalane's expectation was like all three of us need to make NCAAs. So I knew like it was kind of like, okay, like I kind of need to do this. Like I'm gonna be pretty especially without NCAAs being in Eugene, like being home and then watching them go to Austin would have sucked. Um, and I think like when I ran 4:13, Shalane was like to me, "You're gonna make the NCAA final." And then I was like, okay, I don't know about that. But then I think we had like some weird I didn't run that well at Pac-12s. I ran like 4:16 a few times and I was kind of like, "Oh no, like I'm going backwards almost." So I was a little scared about that and then when I ran 4:11 in the first round at regionals, I was like, "Okay. Like I PR'd again, like we're back, like this is okay." But yeah, I did not think that our final at regionals would be that fast, but yeah, with Mia pacing, it was
Yeah, let's talk about this run at regionals because this is one of the most ridiculous things I've ever looked at on anyone's Tifers before.
yeah.
In the first round, you ran 4:11, like you said, which was a 2-second PR at the time, and then you ran 4:08 in what was quite possibly the fastest regional final ever in the women's side,
Yeah.
just to qualify for Texas. And then you get what, like a week or two off? Definitely not enough time to fully recover, right? and then and then you ran a 4:11 again to advance to the NCAA final before running 4:12 to finish 10th place and get an All American certificate, which I'm sure was an awesome feeling. But you must have been exhausted in each one of these rounds, especially like when you had to PR just to make it out of the first round. So like
Yeah.
talk through mentally what it was like after that first round, I'm sure, because I'm sure you expected to obviously make it out of that first round, but
Mhm.
to have to PR just to get out of the first round and then mentally try to prepare yourself for a regional final that, let's face it, in the West is stacked. Like,
Yeah.
how did you mentally handle all that pressure and running PR after PR?
Yeah, it was definitely, like, mentally and physically, like, very hard, but I think I knew, like, at that point with just, like, what I was talking about, like, my legs not really catching up to me, I knew that my, like, best shot is if it was a faster race, then, like, I don't really like the sit and kick race, or at least at that point, now I feel like I'd be okay in that, but so Mia Barnett would always take them out super hard, so when me and Claudia saw, like, we were in Mia's heat, it's like, yes, but also like, "Oh, shit," like, she's gonna take it out really fast. Like we would see her doing strides before the race, and I was so scared of her. I was like, "Oh my god!" Like, she, and that's super funny that she's our teammate. But yeah. So I think after I we ran 4:08, it was like just I never like the 4:10 barrier was like such a big thing for me. Like even since high school, I was like, "Oh my god, that's so fast." So I think yeah, we were just like so happy that it was kind of hard to like come back down from that high for like the week or two in between. And I think I almost it was like almost too much of an emotion. Like I wish that I ran like 4:12 or something there and then 4:08 in the final. Like I wish I flipped those. But yeah, I think by the time finals, because I was the last spot into the final at nationals. And I think yeah, by the final round, I was just like mentally so drained, kind of. And so looking back, I'm like, when I got 10th, I really wanted first team All-American, so, like, missing that by 2 spots, and then Izzy and Claudia got 2 and 4, and it was like, I knew I was fit enough to run that fast, but I think I was just, like, mentally drained. So I think going
Yeah.
into next year, I'll definitely, like, think more about the rounds, but overall, like, I can't really ask for more than that because, like, yeah.
Oh, of course. And interesting fact, I got the same place you did my first time. So
Okay.
we're twinning. Look at that.
Yeah, I remember Jerry came up to me after the race, and I was, like, pretty upset, and he's like, "It took me 4 years to get 10th," and I was like, "Okay, thanks, Jerry." Like
Yeah. Yeah. It's really a first world problem when we
Yeah,
think about it.
yeah,
um, what other question? Like, I didn't even plan on asking you this, but
yeah.
when you're in like heat 2 or 3 or 4, and you have to watch heat 1 go out, and what are you thinking mentally to try to like almost like, are you focusing on what's going on in that race to like really try to like note what time they're running, or are you more focusing on just like, all right, I need to calm myself down. I can't think about this stuff. Like I just need to get ready for what I'm doing.
A little bit, but I think, yeah, at regionals, I was in the second heat and we saw Izzy running before us, and I could tell that they were running slow. So I think that kind of relieved a little stress because then I was like, okay, even if I don't get the automatic spot, um, I could still make it. But then at nationals, I was in the first heat and I got seventh in my heat, so I was not in the automatic. So like watching them run after me, I was like, oh my god, but then they ran like a 75 first lap, so I was just like, yes. Like I was like, yes, please. And then I like Izzy was racing and I was like, Izzy, slow this race down, please. Like, but yeah, they went through the 800 and I was like, okay, they're not running faster than 411, so I'm fine. But yeah, that was pretty stressful. Yeah.
It's almost like if you get sixth or seventh in that first heat, within like 200 meters,
Yeah.
really. Like
Yeah.
it's like they go out and you're like, all right, are they sprinting or are they
Yeah.
jogging?
Yeah. I was like, thank God. Yeah.
After that run, I mean, I honestly think like getting 10th is a great scenario for you because
Yeah.
you had all those fabulous rounds, but then at the same time you finished just below what you ended up hoping
Yeah.
for. So you went into an off season super motivated, and whatever you ended up doing in that summer, that success carried over into cross country where you improved your place by quite a bit of spots, placing 20 spots higher this season in cross country. Um, when in your second cross country NCAA championships, what did you take from that first championship and apply to this one?
Yeah, I think like I was just in such a different place this time around because this time around like I got like fourth at Pac-12's, fifth at regionals, so I was like I knew like All American was definitely my goal. Like on I was after NCAA cross country, I was like pretty disappointed. Like that was definitely my worst race of the season. And I think it was weird because like after the race, Shalane was like, "What? Like, were you seemed fine mentally before the race?" Because like, yeah, I wasn't like super wound up about it. But I think I just went out too fast, and like there was one point where I saw Caitlin Tui like not that far in front of me, and I was like, "Oh no, what am I doing?" But then I like felt okay, and then it just like all of a sudden hit me. Um, And then like there was like one point, yeah, I was like going backwards almost, and I was like, I'm gonna get last. Like that was like in my head. And then like one of my coaches is like, you're still in All-American contention, and I was like, what? Like I was literally like, I feel like I'm gonna get like 200th right now. So yeah, I think yeah, like I was pretty bummed after that race because before I was like, I'm definitely getting All-American. Like I was honestly gonna be even disappointed with like 38th or something. So then to miss All American by 12 spots was like pretty disappointing. Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
I'm sure that's probably your goal then for next year, just to
yeah,
get in that top 40 for sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I
Cool.
think it was also like we had a bunch of transfers who they transferred for the third time, so they couldn't race. And then we were trying to get them cleared, and it was like all season we were like, oh, we don't know. So we had like our 800-meter runners racing. Yeah, it was a lot. We still
It's
got
always
10th, so
good for you
yeah,
guys. Nationals is always hectic. You
yeah,
never know who's really going to be healthy.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
well, interesting because my school's never done this with our training. So I'm curious what you say to this next question. But you ran 850 in Boston coming off of cross country. Um, and I feel like a lot of programs are doing this where they're utilizing their cross country peak to run a really fast track and field time, whether it's in the 3K or the 5K. You don't really see it done in the mile quite as much, but
Yeah.
like what was training like during those 2 3 weeks in between that cross country race and those track races, and did you ever like feel burnt out, or were you kind of always just like, all right, we're gonna get these 2 weeks and we're really gonna get this
Yeah.
qualifier?
I think if I had ran super well at cross nationals, I would have been kind of burnt out. But since I was super upset with my race, I was like, okay, like I need to have a good race in Boston so that I can like not think about this anymore. Because like when we were flying back from NCAA's, I was just like, oh my God. Like I was just reliving the race over and over. So I was like excited that we had another one. But yeah, we like went straight into speed work kind of just because like yeah, our first workout was like 300s, and I was like, whoa, I haven't done this since track, but I think that was good. And then we did like kind of like a 3K simulator workout. But yeah, I like really didn't know what to expect in Boston. Because like I'd seen the times that that meet had produced before, so I was like, okay. And then when we got me into the fastest heat, I was like, okay, this is gonna be really fast. But I did not think it would be like 840. Like Olivia running 840 was insane. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, you ran 850,
Yeah.
which is also
Yeah.
insane. Just to put that into perspective, that would have been fourth overall in the country last year,
Yeah.
and it sits you at fifth overall in the country this year. And generally speaking, when you're sitting fifth in the country, mid January, you're pretty much in, unless something
Yeah. Yeah.
absolutely
Yeah,
hectic
I know. I was
happens.
like, if I don't make it with 850, then like I'm quitting because people are getting too fast like this. So hopefully, yeah.
Yeah, I think you should be
I
all right.
think yeah.
So is there hypothetically, if you also run a qualifier in the mile this year, is there any chance you'd consider doing the double, or would you choose the mile over the 3K, or do you have any idea kind of which event you prefer?
I think it like really depends on the DMR because I think yeah, if I'm on the DMR, then I would want to be fresh for that and then run the 3K because we don't really have anyone else in the 3K or that would be like trying to get to nationals for the 3K. Um, but I don't know. I like the mile because I think yeah, the mile is like super up for grabs. Like anyone in the field, I feel like you don't know what's gonna happen. Whereas on the 3K, yes, but I feel like I don't know if it goes out super fast. It's like a lot of people are out of the mix. But so part of me is like I kind of want to run the mile, but I think running the DMR for the team and then the 3K would probably be the best.
Yeah, either way is great, really, because
Yeah,
doing a DMR would be fun just to get
yeah,
a result with the team. But the mile is crazy because I feel like every year there's like 5 or 6 athletes in the mile that could all win it, and it ends
yeah,
up coming down to like the last 200 meters, and it's always crazy and it's always
yeah.
fun. But anyway, what are your goals for this indoor season?
Yeah, it is weird right now sitting with like, yeah, I probably have a qualifier in the mile and then also in the 3K, so that's kind of a weird spot to be, whereas last year I was just like chasing that and traveling everywhere to try to get that. So yeah, I think the DMR is a big deal for us this year. Last year, like after Washington broke the NCAA record, everyone was kind of trying to, and then we got pretty close to our school record. So I think yeah, we're running it in Arkansas in 2 weeks, so I think just, yeah, doing my part in that and then trying to get us like back on the podium in the DMR. And then definitely, yeah, if I'm running the 3K, I want that first team All-American, especially after missing Lion Cross. So I think I'm pretty hungry for one of those.
Yeah, you got to get that big trophy.
Yeah, yeah. Because I
All
missed
right.
it by 2 spots in outdoor. So yeah,
Yeah. Oh, I have a feeling whether it's this indoor or this outdoor, I have a feeling you're going to get one of those pretty soon based off your times.
I hope so.
So
I don't want to be one of those athletes that just has the good times and then can't perform. So
no, I,
yeah,
I don't think anyone sees you as that.
yeah.
So kind of a fun question that I like to ask people, but what is the secret of you, Maddy Elmore? What is something you do differently that makes you so dominant at what you do? A good example for me is like when I do speed work, and I've been known for my kick throughout my career, but I love to do jump roping because I think it like simulates that really fast turnover and helps you gain a lot of speed really quickly. But like, what's something different that you do that sets you apart from everybody else?
I think I need to start jump roping. I might I might copy you. I definitely this has been going around a lot with like Parker Valby and stuff, but definitely like with the 2 years that I was injured, I was like grinding on the bike. Like that's kind of all I was doing. I have a bike in my room.
I love that.
When I was like deep into my injury, I was just like, I went to Walmart and just bought it, and it was honestly like the best purchase of my life. Because now, if I like want to double instead of running doubles, I'll usually bike. So yeah, I'll just bike in my. It's kind of gross being in my room, but our house is too small. So, but yeah, my roommates will hear me in here, and they're like, What is wrong with you?" Because I'm breathing so hard, but yeah, I think that for sure cross training has helped so much. Like last year, since I was just running 5 days a week. And then I think also just with everything I've been through with injury, I feel like I'm not really phased. Like I definitely take pride in my like mental strength. Like I see a lot of people like freaking out all the time about racing and training. And I feel like just with everything I've been through, I've been able to like keep a pretty good head on my shoulders and just be like, I've been through much worse than this. So yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. I love that answer. What's a bike workout that you do? Give us like, I don't know, just if you're gonna cross train for a day and do a bike workout, do you just like pedal pretty easy, or do you like go super hard on there?
Yeah, I used to like when I was just injured and not able to run at all, I would do like bike workouts. So I would do like 10 minutes super hard and then like 2 minutes off, 10 minutes super hard for like an hour up to 90 minutes would be like my longest. But now just like for doubles, I'll just bike pretty hard. I don't really like to put too much like mental effort into it. It's just like I get my heart rate up pretty high. So yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Well, this has been super fun. I only have one more question left for you. And it's super positive. What advice would you give someone trying to make that next step to where you're at of being like a consistent All-American and someone fighting for titles like you are?
Yeah, I would say just I think you really need to just like believe in yourself and like keep going through the this sounds super cliche, but like I feel like now that I'm here, it's so weird to like think about when I wasn't because now I'm like, oh yeah, qualifying for indoors, like duh. But like last year I was like, oh my God, that is so hard. Like I don't know how I'll ever do this. So it's just like I think it's crazy how fast you can make that jump. With just being consistent and believing in yourself because yeah, when I was injured, like a lot of people wouldn't have thought that I would be here, I think, but I always like had this like internal belief in myself and my support system.
Awesome. That's a great answer. And I think nowadays too the mental side of running is has really been talked about much more than it
Yeah.
used to, and people have really emphasized the importance of it. Well, thank you so much for coming on,
Yeah.
Maddie. I really
Yeah,
appreciate
thank
it.
you. Yeah, that was fun.